Chapter 9. The House That Stood in Darkness. Now it happened there lived near the east gate of the city a nobleman, his wife and daughter, whom they called Retta, because her skin was as the lily leaf turned to the morning dew, and her eyes were soft like the eyes of a deer. And she was well beloved, this maiden Retta, and was daily found doing good deeds and bestowing kindnesses on those who were unhappy. But the last enemy called at the palace one day and claimed, as a toll for his visit, this lovely maiden. All the country round about grieved for the fair Retta, and a great flower-laden procession followed her to her last resting place. The unhappy nobleman and his wife were as people without hope in the world, and the marble palace was hung in black, and the doors and windows were shut. Moreover, in time, the lovely garden wherein Retta was wont to spend many happy hours among the flowers and exquisite marbles that adorned it became a weed patch. Thistles replaced the roses, and ugly wild vines clung to the marbles and strove to conceal their beauty and whiteness. It was the house desolate. It bespoke of the futility of human existence, and from a thing of beauty it had become an eyesore. Now the man and his wife spent their time on the roof of the house, which is the custom in Jerusalem, which looked out over the city on one side and towards the wonderful Lebanon on the other. June was at her height, and the wild flowers which dotted the hills and valleys ran in a riot of colouring, enhanced by the highly coloured butterflies darting from flower to flower, and the birds drifting and floating through that clear, transparent air. A song streaming from their throats, "Come out and live, live, live." Everything called out to the man and his wife to live and be happy, but so far were they sunk within themselves and their sad thoughts that they heeded nothing. And it was on this very day that Abdullah and Jethro were returning from the market where they had been to sell the vases Ab had made. And Abdullah went on ahead while Jethro came along behind with the mule. He was playing a strange little melody and setting words to it to suit his fancy, a melody with an appealing minor strain in it. Life is a circle which has no end. Death does not break the link. Death is but sleep. Life is eternal. Naught can be lost. And the woman, sitting in sadness, stirred on hearing the strange music, and said to her husband, "What means this strange youth saying, 'Life is a circle which has no end'?" And her husband, looking after them, said, "'Tis Abdullah and his boy returning from the market. He is said to have a strange philosophy which has explained away many of the cares of this life, and into the mind of this boy Jethro he has put his philosophy, so that he sings it and accompanies himself on his harp. Would he heal my broken heart?" said the woman. So the man, rising, struck a brass gong, and a black slave appeared. "Master, at your service," he said, bowing low. "Go after the man and the boy who have just passed, and bid them as my guests to rest a while with us." When Ab ascended to the roof, which was draped in black, he saw the depressed man and his wife. And the man, rising, said, "Greetings to thee, Abdullah," and, bowing, He motioned him to the floor rug which the slave had spread for him. Jethro, who stood behind, was open-eyed in wonderment. He it was who saw the exquisite white marbles hung with black, and the great flower urns standing empty at one side, nor were the rich oriental rugs lost to his view. All the riches in the world are as naught without the proper mental attitude of real substance. The servant, moving noisily about, brought cigarettes and black coffee. "We have heard your boy singing a strange song," the man said. "Life is a circle. What meaneth the youth?" And then, continuing, he said, "And what meaneth death does not break the link?" Ab made ready to reply, but the nobleman said further, "Has not our beloved Retta been carried away by the last enemy and taken from our sight?" Then Abdullah answered and said, "Believeth thou in God and that He is everywhere?" "We believe in God and that He is good," they replied in unison. "Knoweth not that He is life eternal and that He is changeless? Then how can death happen in an infinity of life? Can God change or one of His ideas pass into oblivion?" There was a profound silence fell upon them as Abdullah continued. "Life may change form. The tadpole in yon pool would not forever remain an insect, but he would enlarge his capabilities, and by changing form he becomes a frog, losing none of his former capacities, but gaining an advanced state of progress. Does the ugly grub die when it changes into a radiant butterfly, and is that which is left behind either grub or butterfly? Would you have the beautiful butterfly who had cut through the ugly cocoon and outgrown the narrow confines of the grub state return to its former condition? And what other than a selfish motive could prompt your wishing for its return? It is plain that it would not be good for the butterfly, neither would it make it happy, yet it might satisfy your selfish desire to possess. Then, when our loved ones in their line of progress have burst into a freedom that we know not of, is it for their good and happiness that we wish them back, or is it to satisfy our selfishness? Is not then death, in its proper sense, progress? Is it not unfoldment? Does not the flower unfold at the expense of the falling away of the seed? Yet is the seed dead? Did not the great master prove that death was a myth when he rolled away the stone from the tomb, which stone had seemingly set the seal on the reality of death? Did he not say, "Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, I go to awaken him"? And then his great command, "Loose him and let him go." Free him from the winding sheets of mortal belief, which says that death is the end, that it is real and terrible, that it is the outcome of life. Again I say unto you, life is eternal. Can you conceive of God who is ever present, becoming inactive? God, good, is perpetual motion, and we, his perfect ideas and expressions of his thought, are controlled and governed by this perfect law of activity. Then inaction or death can never occur, though the idea of expression may change form. Who, then, knowing this law of progress, will try to shackle it by wishing and sorrowing for those who have gone before and have cut through the shell of materialism. Does the mother grieve when her child has laid aside his primer and taken the next book in hand? Rather, does she not rejoice and say, he is progressing, knowledge and understanding are replacing ignorance. He is finding his way out of darkness, which is ignorance. What is it that dies? Is it man, the image and likeness of God eternal? Is it the perfect idea of God, which is sustained by him that dies? And whence comes a counterpower to omnipotence, which destroys the works of his mighty hands? Are we paying the right tribute to those gone before when we hang our walls in black and sit in mourning, forgetting to live and reach out and help others who are here with us? Is the garden yonder, which is in weeds, a tribute to the loveliness of she whom you mourn? And what fainting heart gazing thereon would take courage and new hope? Then I say unto you, my good people, take from thy windows these dark hangings, and throw wide open the doors, and let in fresh air and sunshine, and set again the garden into roses, and watch the desert blossom. I am the resurrection and the life. Though a man were dead, ignorant of true life, yet shall he live again. Come, Jethro, sing for us. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge most high. He is life eternal, and man cannot die. Death is a dream. In truth we awake, and every mortal law God surely breaks. And as they again wended their way along the street, Jethro sung his song of life is a circle. And the woman, lifting her eyes, smiled through tears and said, life is a circle, there is no death. And that's the end of chapter 9.